and nutrition. What I'd love for us to be able to do is, since this is International Women's Day, just put in the chat a woman that you admire, who maybe has brought great significance to your life through support or encouragement, or someone who you are inspired by. Let's see what's in the chat, and let's give a couple of seconds just to acknowledge some of the important women in our lives. All right. Thank you for sharing. Absolutely. People are saying they're mothers. Yes. Awesome. Awesome. Well, on the as we will start, you'll see on the next slide has some information just about bringing greetings. And so as the citywide coordinator for the city of New Orleans for the Delta Research and Educational Foundation Research Matters for All of Us initiative, welcome to our first webinar of the month of March. As I mentioned just a couple of minutes ago, we are in partnership with 7 Stars Academy, and we appreciate them co-hosting this event tonight with us. For those of you, if this is your first time attending one of these events, we welcome you. We hope that you find this event informative. We hope that it motivates you to learn more about your health and your body, and we really hope that it will inspire you to be a part of the solution to health disparities, which is what this All of Us program is all about. On the next slide, you'll see what the topic is for this evening. This evening, we're going to be talking about eating for kidney wellness for each decade of life. And our kidneys are tiny organs, but they're very, very important. And it's important for us to understand how we can protect, preserve the functions of our kidneys. And if we have situations in which our kidneys, we may have some kidney disease or slower sufficiency of our kidneys, there's some foods that are more appropriate or better for us to eat. And so we need to learn all those different things, and that's the purpose of tonight. So what I'd like to do, first of all, is ask you on the next slide to use your smartphone to do a survey that we have. It's a pre-activity survey. It's going to help us tremendously in getting your feedback. All you have to do is put your smartphone on this circle, and your smartphone will take you directly to the link. Or if you don't have your smartphone, in the chat, you'll see the URL that you can put into a website browser. So please just take just a couple of seconds to complete that pre-activity survey for us. So on the next slide, I appreciate those of you who have taken the time to do the pre-activity survey. We'll do another survey in a little bit. But first, what I'd like to do is to introduce you to some names of some important persons who help with the Delta Research and Educational Foundation's Research Matter for All of Us. This is our citywide coordinator core team. You'll see the DREF president, Carolyn Lewis, who actually is from New Orleans, but you'll see some other ladies also listed here that are instrumental in ensuring that our programming meets the needs of the community. And as we're working with the NIH, we're very hopeful that we are also providing outreach and opportunities for persons to actually enroll in the program as you learn more about what it's all about. On the next slide, you'll see that the DREF program is operating in 12 different cities throughout the country. We work in partnership with the National Institutes of Health, and there are 12 cities that have a citywide coordinator. So I am serving and honored to serve as the New Orleans citywide coordinator, but we have 11 other coordinators in the following cities: in Denver, Colorado, Miami, Florida, Atlanta, Georgia, Chicago, Illinois, Baton Rouge and Shreveport, Louisiana, in addition to New Orleans, Boston, Massachusetts, Detroit, Michigan, New York City, New York, Houston, Texas, and Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And we've tried to let you go to each of those 12 cities through the pictures that are provided for you right there on the screen. The next picture on the PowerPoint just really shows New Orleans. And so as mentioned, this is a program that is coordinated by the city of New Orleans. On the next slide, what I'd love for you to do is to take a listen and hear from Dr. Francis Collins. He is a former director and of the NIH, and he'll share some information, informative information about health disparities in the All of Us program. Take a listen.
So much of what we've done in medicine over the years has not really taken into account individual differences, and this is an opportunity to be part of something historic.
Most studies and most clinical trials have always been with the average white male. So as we start thinking about this in the context of building trust, I think we get back that trust by involving the community. Not saying you come to us or we'll just do things to you. We're going to do things with you and in fact allow that information to be accessible to you, the individual.
You're going to have some individuals that are going to say, yes, good, we're getting in on the ground level of a study. And then you're going to have those that have some trepidations about it. My thing is to bring them aboard and let them know that this is for the greater good for them. We have input, and without input, there's no buy-in. And without buy-in, there's no commitment. Without commitment, there's no success.
Tuskegee happened. We're not trying to hide that or sweep it under the rug, but communities of color will be at a disadvantage if we do not find ways to get by that, whether the focus is asthma, whether the focus is infant mortality, whether the focus is diabetes, cancer or heart disease. Communities of color are disproportionately impacted by them.
It has always been playing catch up to make sure that they're even getting access, much less minimum service. Low income, underserved, and people of color are oftentimes very generous in giving something if they understand it. And they always do so with the intention that knowing this is not just about me, this is not just even about my family, it is about helping the community down the road.
Being able to bring the Asian American population who is never at the table, not only to contribute to science, but to contribute to our ability to understand the nuances within those populations. I think it will provide a huge national data set so we can ask questions and make discoveries about healthcare that will better their own personal health and those of the communities that they are part of.
Diversity strengthens the science. It could bridge some civil rights issues and inequities in healthcare across all races and ethnicities and culture.
As a community of color, underrepresented, hidden, underserved, what would happen if you were not at the table? It is an issue of equity, and it's an issue of justice as well.
It is important for minorities to be a part of this, or we will again be left with medications that are created for really other populations. I'm hopeful that we will be overwhelmed with folk.
Thank you. So what you'll see, or what I hope that you gained from that short video, is that the NIH All of Us research program is designed to help improve healthcare outcomes and at the same time to decrease disparities. It's a catalyst that will fuel this new approach to individualized prevention and treatment, which is something that is called precision medicine. There's another video, short video, that talks a little bit about precision medicine.
Something called precision medicine, in some cases people call it personalized medicine, gives us one of the greatest opportunities for new medical breakthroughs that we have ever seen. Doctors have always recognized that every patient is unique. And doctors have always tried to tailor their treatments as best they can to individuals. You can match a blood transfusion to a blood type. That was an important discovery. What if matching a cancer cure to our genetic code was just as easy, just as standard? What if figuring out the right dose of medicine was as simple as taking or temperature. And that's the promise of precision medicine, delivering the right treatments at the right time, every time, to the right person.
So I hope that by hearing former President Obama, you get a sense of the power that exists within the promise of precision medicine and the ability to create new advances in medicine. As a result of the Precision Medicine Initiative, the NIH rolled out this All of Us research program. And the program is designed to enroll 1 million individuals that look like our country. So that's not just Caucasian individuals, it's persons of color. And so we're out beating the drums, trying to help educate, inform, inspire, and also enroll persons who may be interested. So the mission of the All of Us research program is to accelerate research. It is designed to also nurture relationships, create a robust ecosystem, as well as deliver the largest, richest biomedical resource ever. The core values of the program are very simple. The participation is open to all. We want all persons to participate in this program. We want the program to also reflect the United States and have diversity and involvement. Additionally, we are looking for the program to have an approach in which you're a partner in the process. And trust, we know, is extremely important. So transparency is a core value of the All of Us program. Additionally, participants will have access to their information. And so that is a very powerful tool for you to have the knowledge and information regarding your specific health. Security and privacy are of paramount importance. And of course, again, this is designed to be a catalyst for positive change in research. So if you were interested in participating, what does it require? Well, basically, there is an enrollment process. There's a consent form that you would sign, as well as authorizing an electronic health record. There's some surveys that you would complete, provision of physical measurements, also providing samples, and in some instances, there may be opportunities in which you would be asked to wear some digital wearable technology that helps monitor and track some of the information that the researchers are looking at. The next slide talks a little bit about why this would be important. Why would I want to participate? We hope you would want to participate because you want to help us accelerate finding answers to key questions related to health. For example, and of course, this is not an all-inclusive listing. This is just 3 questions or 3 items that the research that comes out of this program could answer, like how to slow or even stop different types of dementia, or how do we develop pain medications that are not addictive? Or how do we find better treatments for persons who have diabetes? These are all valid questions that some of the research can answer. The next video will share a little bit.
The All of Us research program is an ambitious effort to gather health information from 1 million or more people across the U.S. Researchers will be able to use this information to uncover new, more precise ways to prevent and treat disease and to keep people healthy.
If we delve deeper into where we live, what we consume, what we do, that will have an impact on trying to prevent diseases in the future.
Precision medicine will allow us to get the right medicine at the right time for the right person.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, obesity, illnesses that Black women get and die from needs to be researched.
This isn't going to be some sort of Tuskegee experiment. This is going to be the community working together with healthcare institutions.
So the promise for participants is that you're a part of the solution in terms of fighting diseases. The other benefit, of course, that you learn about your own health. You have access to your own data. And you also have the opportunity to learn about additional research opportunities. I would encourage everyone to visit the following URL, researchallofus.org, to learn more information. On the next slide, what I'd just like to do is to give you some more contact information, specifically about the DREF, All of Us Research Initiative in partnership with the NIH. This is where you can find specific information about what we're doing to help get the word out about this program and about health conditions that are important for us to have awareness about. So we're on all the social media channels. You can always send us an email if you have questions or comments to researchmatters@deltafoundation.net. And on the website, we're at www.joinallofus.org/DREF. There is a QR code that we would love for you to utilize by filling out a quick, it'll bring you to a Linktree site that has the opportunity for you to learn more, as well as give us some feedback as to the helpfulness of tonight's presentation. And I'll also place this in the chat for persons as well. And then the last slide is just my contact information. Feel free to send an email to nolarmcc@gmail.com. That's New Orleans, Louisiana Research Matters Citywide Coordinator. So nolarmcc@gmail.com if you'd like to reach me directly. So I appreciate your attention and listening to the information about the All of Us program. I want you to continue to listen, but I'm going to pass the program over to my colleague from 7 Stars Academy, Dr. Katani Lemieux. I would love for her to tell us a little bit about herself, as well as introduce the speaker for the evening.
My pleasure, and thank you, Dr. Easton, and good evening. I am Dr. Katana Lemieux of 7 Star Academy. I'm a principal there, and it's my great pleasure to be part of this conversation tonight. We are also, we're a proud co-sponsor with DREF in this conversation. So I'm also an associate professor in the College of Pharmacy at Xavier. So we are doing the work of spreading the word about the All of Us research program here in the greater New Orleans area. And at this time, it is my great privilege to introduce Dr. Turshá Hamilton. Dr. Turshá Hamilton is an ND, not an MD. She is a naturopathic doctor, and where she treats patients, but with a focus on holistic health. So she's a holistic health educator and provides individualized care to each of her clients and patients. She has a passion for treating patients that suffer with diabetes, hypertension, and or GI complaints. She uses a variety of holistic methods to stimulate the body's internal ability to produce and maintain optimal health. So she sees patients and clients remotely all over the world to help them reach their health goals. Dr. Hamilton is quite a busy woman. She's published. She is a best-selling author, has written 7 books. Her most recent book is titled The Black Woman's Healthopedia, and she's a teacher planner. So she has a planner to go along with it. She was a co-host of 2 radio shows. She had her own podcast. She's been featured on several podcasts, radio, newspaper, and TV broadcasts internationally. Currently, she is teaching and coaching in New Orleans. As an author and a speaker, she owns the Naturopath Publications. It's a publishing company that she started to help get holistic health information out. And she wants to do that in an authentic way that's attainable for all to participate and benefit from. So without further ado, she had so much to share, and I'm so looking forward to learning from her on kidney and on the wellness of kidneys. Dr. Turshá Hamilton, the floor is now yours. Thank you, and let us all welcome her.
Hello, hello. Thank you all so much for having me. I'm really, really excited to be here. As was mentioned, I am an educator, so it is always my pleasure to be able to teach people about all things science and all things health, especially regarding holistic health, with a topic like this that is extremely important, timely, and having lots of people, with questions. So I look forward to your engagement as I'm speaking, and let's get into it. So we are talking about kidney health for women, and we're going to talk about it throughout the ages. I like this quote because this was a quote from Thomas Edison. If you remember who Thomas Edison was, this is the man who created the light bulb or improved the light bulb, something about the light bulb. So this was a while ago. But he said the doctor of the future will give no medicine, but will interest his patients in the care of the human frame, in diet, and in the cause and in prevention of disease. And this speaks to the heart of what we do as naturopathic physicians. So allow me to go a little bit more into what it is that I do as a naturopathic physician. Excuse me. Because most people, sorry about that, got a little excited. Most people have never heard of naturopathic medicine. So the first thing that I want to do is let you know what naturopathic medicine is. Excuse me. So the next slide that comes up is going to give you information about naturopathic medicine, but I'm basically going to just tell you that naturopathic medicine is an actual distinct branch of medicine where we have 4-year accredited naturopathic medical schools where we learn all the same basic sciences that other health professionals, doctors, nurses, etc. learn, because regardless of how you use it, the body is the body, biochemistry is biochemistry, embryology is embryology, etc., etc. So we learn all the same basic sciences. We learn how to use medications, because most people that come to our offices are on medications. We learn minor surgery. We learn how to diagnose, how to treat, etc. But the difference is that we also learn all of these holistic, historic forms of medicine that have been around with us as long as humans have been on Earth, or longer. And so this naturopathic medicine to me is a beautiful medicine because it sort of has that traditional medicine. It has some conventional medicine components. So what you expect from a conventional medical doctor, it has scientific research and all of those things. And it just becomes a very beautiful way to actually get to the root cause of what you are, what you are dealing with. The philosophical roots of naturopathic medicine, one of the texts that many of my colleagues use is called the Organon. And it had this statement, and this statement was very beautiful about what we do. The highest ideal of cure is rapid, gentle, and permanent restoration of health. And that's key, restoration of health. In the shortest, most reliable, most harmless way, on easily comprehensible principles. And this is what I do when I'm working with a client or a patient, and this is what my colleagues do when we work with clients or patients. We want to find the most effective yet least harmful way to work with the body so that we can actually get to what is going on in the body, why it's happening, and see what we can do to help reverse that trend. So naturopathic philosophy of health, there are several different, things that we can talk about, but a few things that I wanted to mention was that ill health is actually your body doing what it's supposed to do. And I know that sounds weird to most people, but when you are in ill health, our first thought is, I can't believe this is happening to me. Why is this happening? We need to go ahead and get it fixed. And that's not incorrect. But keep in mind that this is your body's attempt to keep you moving, keep you thriving, keep you alive in spite of whatever imbalance that it has, right? So ill health is an adaptive response to some disturbance that's going on in your body. Your signs and symptoms are indicative of what is happening in your body. And as long as we don't shut those off, as long as we look at them and pay attention to them, then we can start to add things into our regimen that can actually help to support our body and our health. Naturopathic physicians use what's called the naturopathic therapeutic order. The therapeutic order is basically a guiding principle that says, this is how we're going to look at health and how to help the body heal. So we always start at the bottom with the base of the triangle. And you'll notice here in this triangle, it says, establish the foundation for optimal health. And this is why when I'm talking to people, I'll often talk more heavily about things like stress, diet, exercise, sleep, etc., because these are the things that are going to build that foundation of health. And regardless of whatever else you do on this list, whether you are talking about things like acupuncture or IV medicine or drug therapy or surgery, if your foundation of health is not good, none of those other things are going to work as well as they could. Even in conventional medicine, when your physician says, I've done the surgery, but now it's just a waiting game. We have to see how it's going to go. That is in essence them saying, I've done what I can, and now that body has to heal itself. And all I can do is wait, because the rest of what they're not saying is, I don't know what else to do to help that body heal itself except give it time. And time is absolutely important. But again, you have to have that foundation in order to have everything else work the way that we want it to work. So why is this topic important? Well, for one, because so many people actually do have kidney disease, but here are some other reasons why this topic in particular is important. You have so many people in our communities that have diabetes and hypertension, and these are the top 2 reasons that people actually have kidney disease. The top 2 reasons, right? And so we really need to look at the causes of these if we want to get a shift in the health of our community. Hypertension and diabetes, top 2 reasons. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. As she read in my bio, those are kind of my passion. And part of it is because we can do something about it. It causes so many problems, but we can do something about it. All right. The incidence of heart disease in women and men increases with age. So as you get older, it is more likely that you can develop heart disease than when you're younger. Now, one thing that is very alarming is that when you look at African Americans, all the statistics show that it gets worse as we get older, but that starts happening at a younger age. And there's so many other reasons for it, some that we can't do anything about, some that we can. And so we have to focus on the ones that we can. 1/3 of the people in the US are at risk for kidney disease, right? 33% of the people in the US are at risk for kidney disease. That means that if you are in a room with your family members, at least if you're in there with 3 people, at least one of you are at risk for kidney disease. That is a lot. More women than men actually have chronic kidney disease, but more men than women actually have kidney failure. And that is a whole bunch of reasons, I'm sure, partially because lots of men don't actually go to the doctor, and we need to correct that, right? But I thought that was an interesting statistic, that more women have chronic kidney disease, yet more men have kidney failure. More women than men. One of the things that I did not put in this presentation is that more women will have problems with kidney disease as their estrogen starts to decline. So as you get closer to menopausal age and your estrogen starts to get lower, your risk for kidney disease starts to increase. And I thought that was quite interesting, and I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that to you. And again, just like with heart disease, kidney disease, chronic kidney disease increases as you age. So these are extremely important. And the reason why I talked about heart disease before is because heart disease absolutely affects the kidneys and vice versa. So we want to make sure that we are not just putting all of our different body parts in a box, because they're all related. This particular statistic I thought was interesting because it shows a breakdown of chronic kidney disease with age, with gender, and with race. And we can see that as you get older, your risk increases. Women are, as I mentioned before, more susceptible than men, slightly more. And African Americans, we lead the cause in yet another statistic that we should not want, shouldn't want to lead the cause in, or we would hope not to be leading the cause in, but we develop more chronic kidney disease than other races. So, we absolutely need to be working much more diligently on an individual and a collective basis so that we can start to reverse some of these trends. So let me talk about what the kidneys do. Because I'm an educator, I actually, I was just teaching this this week. So this is sort of fresh on my mind. The kidneys, I wanted to show you, the kidneys are really small. The kidneys are about the size of a mouse, of a mouse. You have two of these. This filters all the blood in your body every 30 minutes. Right? Your kidneys filter all the blood in your body every 30 minutes. So those two little mouse-sized organs are constantly working. And what they're working on is, what we know of, is to remove waste materials, toxic materials, and excess fluids. That is what we predominantly know as the function of the kidneys. What many of us don't realize is that that's not the only job of the kidneys. What else they do? They also help you to control your blood pressure. And part of that is by removing excess fluid or retaining fluid if your blood pressure is a little bit lower. It helps you to produce red blood cells. It helps your bones stay healthy. And it helps you to regulate your blood pH. So the kidneys are not just about filtering the blood and removing urine or waste. It has several other functions in it as well. So there are several different types of kidney disease, and I just wanted to bring this up because oftentimes we think of just one thing, but kidney stones, glomerulonephritis, polycystic kidney disease, urinary tract infections, all of these are considered types of kidney disease. So keep that in mind as you move forward, that it's not just one thing. Any of these that affect the health of the kidneys can be considered kidney disease, and we want to acknowledge them and start to work on them. Factors that increase your risk of kidney diseases are things like, can we go back one slide? Are things like diabetes, hypertension, cardiovascular disease. These three are highlighted in blue because these are considered diseases of lifestyle. I'll say that one more time. These are considered diseases of lifestyle. And what that means is that the way you live your life is causing or perpetuating these diseases. Now, I don't want to just leave you with that, because what that also means is that you can change your lifestyle, you can change your habits, you can change your actions, make some changes, and those changes can actually reverse disease. All right. So diseases of lifestyle are predominant, but it's a great thing because that means that it can be reversed when we start to shift our lifestyle. Other factors are smoking, obesity, and frequency, some medications that we use often. So if you are taking medications, make sure that you are reading the labels or talking to your healthcare provider about them to make sure that they are not ones that are going to harm your kidneys, because some medications are filtered through your kidneys, some are excreted through your colon. So it really just depends on the mechanism of action of the medications themselves. And then you have those risk factors that you really cannot control, such as the shape or structure of your kidneys, the race or ethnicity that you were born in, your family history, and aging. You cannot control those. So the ones in green are just things that you should keep in mind, but you can't really sweat it because there's not much you can do about those things. But those other ones in the blue and in the black, you can absolutely do something about it. So in the next slide, I talk about hypertension and diabetes. Again, I just wanted to make sure that we reiterate that hypertension and diabetes, high blood pressure, high blood sugar are the leading causes of kidney disease, right? The leading causes. So most people that you know who have kidney disease or kidney failure, they have high blood pressure or high blood sugar or both. And not just that they have it, that it's uncontrolled. So if you have any of these conditions, your task at this point right now is to start to think about how you can control these other conditions so that you can keep the health of your kidneys intact, and you don't have to think about that next stage. Now, if you're already in the next stage and you already have kidney failure or kidney disease, you can still work on your health and, so that it doesn't progress and maybe even improve it. Can't make any promises because I don't know your story or anything, but just know that the possibility is there. Now, stress is a huge one. I read something some years ago that said approximately 60% of all doctors' visits are either caused by or exacerbated by stress. 60%. And the reason why I bring that up is because I think that is an amazing statistic. If you think about it, if we could learn how to manage our stress, more than half of the visits to a doctor's office would go away because our health wouldn't be declining as quickly, right? So if you are under stress, if you are under chronic stress, then I want you to start taking some measures to learn how to manage your stress. That could be something as simple as doing some deep breathing exercises, going to take a short walk outside, putting your feet in the grass, playing with a pet or a puppy or something. Anything that will bring you joy, even if it's only for a couple minutes. Breaking the cycle of chronic stress is almost as important as living a stress-free life, because living a stress-free life, if you live in this society, is not really a thing. But taking those mini vacations is going to be huge in helping you to start to control your health and start to reverse some of these diseases of lifestyle that are contributing to the decline of health. So now I want to talk about the stages of life. When I was thinking about the stages of life, I sort of came up with 3 different stages. You have the growing stage. This is when you're born. This is, when you're a little kid and you're growing up, your body is basically building itself to a full size. So when you're in the growing stage, it takes a lot of energy to take all of those raw materials that you're given, whether that is mom's milk or the food that you're eating. You have to take all of that energy to actually build a person, right? And so for the younger people, we need to keep that in mind, that we're literally building a person. So if you have a young person in your life, think about that as you're going through your day, and consider like your actions. Are there any modifications that you can make to help this growing being grow stronger, so that at the next stages of life, they have less issues, less problems than we had growing up and living as adults. The next stage of life would be the strengthening stage. So once you are full size, late teens, early 20s, then you still have that strength and energy of youth. Your body at that point is just growing stronger. And so at that stage, your job is to make sure that you are continuing to build and to build that strength, so that you can have that foundation of health for that moment and beyond. So that is a strengthening stage. And then you have the last stage, which is actually, I should have said your maintenance stage. So I apologize about that. But you're in your maintenance stage, you have two different sections. You have like maintenance that is building. So that's where the building probably came from. And then you have the maintenance of keeping yourself healthy. So you might be, less healthy than you want to be. So you have to build to that maintenance stage that you want to be at. Or if you are good, you're not taking any medications, you want to maintain that and remain strong, so that when or if other things do come around, it doesn't take you out as quickly or as harshly as it could. So then what can you do about it? What can you do about it? This is actually the question that I'm assuming most of you that are watching, whether you're watching live or you watch it recorded, this is the main question that we want to answer, right? So for babies, remember we talked about the foundation of health. This says from the time you're born, but even before then, from the time that you're in your mom's womb, you are being built. And so one of the things that can be done for those of you who have little people, incorporate more breast milk into that child's diet. The reason why that's important is because human breast milk is made for human babies, first of all, but also that breast milk has properties that babies need. Babies don't have a strong immune system. When they're born, they have hardly an immune system because their bodies are still being built. And so if a baby gets sick, if a baby comes in contact with a bacteria, a virus, etc., they don't have the strongest immune response because they're still being built. Mom can actually help that baby, because when baby is ill and they drink breast milk directly from mom's breast, mom's body actually recognizes that, builds antibodies to whatever is going on in the baby, and then in turn gives those antibodies to the baby so that the baby can begin to fight that thing with mom's antibodies, right? And so for babies, incorporate more breast milk. And this is, again, going to help set that child up for better health in the future. If you can. If you cannot breastfeed, do what you can, but just know that, human breast milk is always going to be best. For children, I know that children are very picky and that it is not easy to get children to actually eat anything but nuggets and fries. But the more you can do that, the better it is for babies. I actually have colleagues who have little people who absolutely love vegetables. And I think part of that is because the parents eat lots of fruit and vegetables and they normalize it in their household. So one way to be able to model to be able to get children to eat more fruit and vegetables is for you to do it. So the more you do it, the more they see you doing it, the more likely they are to actually being open to eating that way. So incorporate more of that into your diet so that the children can start doing what you do and it can be normalized. Then you have young adults. So with young adults, ladies, we'll start with you. For young adults, I started with this one, urinate right after sex, because one of the common causes of urinary tract infections is sexual intercourse. And by making it a habit to urinate right after you have sex, you are decreasing your chance of having a UTI, a urinary tract infection. And if you remember, that is one of the causes of kidney disease, right? Is chronic urinary tract infections. So if we can do what we can to start to decrease the incidence of UTIs that we have, then that will be helpful in decreasing the instance of kidney disease. All right. If you do get a UTI, treat it as soon as possible. Whether you go to the doctor and get medications or you decide to do it more holistically with things like D-mannose and cranberry juice, etc., whatever you do, make sure that you are doing it completely and not just, oh, I'm going to have a sip of cranberry juice here and there. Like, that's not going to do anything. Make sure that you are treating it adequately so that it can go away as soon as possible. So again, that you're not putting your body at risk of having more chronic problems. If and when you get pregnant, make sure that you are getting prenatal care as quickly as possible. That is because pregnancy is hard on the body, right? Women do it, and we've done it since the first humans on earth, but it is really hard on the body. And you have these little people growing inside of you that are kicking, literally kicking all your organs. They're sitting on your bladder. And you want to make sure that the baby is healthy, that you are healthy, and that you're supporting your organs. If you take birth control, you want to make sure that the type of birth control that you use is not going to damage your kidneys. All right. And so that might mean a conversation with your doctor. That might mean taking your birth control and then just making sure that you're getting your kidneys checked regularly. Once a year can be adequate. If you are typically healthy, right? So making sure, again, that your birth control is not what's causing damage to your kidneys. So then we have for young men, we want you to start going to the doctor on a regular basis. Men have this habit, and that, of course, it's not all men, but a good majority. Men have this habit of sucking it up and waiting for things to fall off before they go see a doctor, or when their plumbing doesn't work, they go to the doctor because, that's an emergency. We want to normalize not having men suck it up. We want to normalize having men go to the doctor regularly so that men can be around and as vibrant as the women that they're chasing, right? Or the women that they are with, or the women that are in their family. We want to make sure that young men start the habit of normalizing healthcare for men. All right. If you're healthy, going to the doctor once a year is enough to be able to catch something if and when something does come up. But we don't want to wait years and years, because that is when we have problems, especially with all these silent killer diseases like hypertension, like diabetes, like kidney disease, that don't really give you a whole lot of symptoms ahead of time until something is way, way wrong. So we want to normalize that. And everybody needs to prioritize sleep. That whole you sleep when you're dead, let's grind nonstop, that's dead. We need to cut that. We need to kill it, right? We need to kill that dead, because we need to sleep. Sleep is the time that we heal and grow. When we were babies, For those of you who have had children, you already know that every time your child went to sleep and woke up, you had to buy a new pair of shoes because they grew out of it, or you had to buy a new pair of pants because they grew taller. This is what we're talking about. When you get older and you're no longer growing taller, that process is still the same for healing. When you are ill and you get sleepy, this is your body telling you, we need to shut down all that you're trying to do so that we can take all this energy and use it toward repairing our bodies. So again, let's normalize getting sleep. Let's prioritize getting sleep. Let's encourage younger people to get sleep so that when they get older, as they get older, it is not a hard task to actually get adequate sleep, because that grind culture is counterproductive. When you sleep, you can think better, you can do more, you have more energy, your body functions better. And so if you want to be successful and productive, you have to have adequate sleep in there. As we get older, some of the things that we have to think about: men, if you have an enlarged prostate, you want to be in close contact with your healthcare provider so that you can get it taken care of. For men who have enlarged prostates, because of the way the anatomy is situated, that is a direct line, even though those are two different systems of the body, that is a direct line to kidneys malfunctioning, because you might have a urine backup because you can't expel urine as easily with an enlarged prostate. So just make sure that if you or if someone you all know has an enlarged prostate, talk to them about making sure that they stay close to their doctor and get it taken care of, get it managed so that they don't develop kidney disease later on. And for everybody, again, we want to make sure that we are prioritizing sleep and rest, because those are not two of the same things, right? You can sleep and not get rest, and you can rest without being sleep. So you want to prioritize both of those so that your body has an opportunity to reset, heal, and grow. You want to make sure that you're getting your kidneys checked every year. Now, when you go to your doctor and they do their routine blood work, that's an automatic test. Usually, if they're going to do only a couple of tests, it's going to be a CBC and a CMP. And the CMP is one of those tests that can test your kidney function. But if you're not going to the doctor on a regular basis, then you are not getting your CMP. So get your kidneys checked yearly by going to the doctor and getting your basic annual physical exam once a year. You want to control your blood pressure. Please don't ignore it. A lot of us feel like if we ignore it, then it'll go away. Or if we ignore it, it's not real. Or if we ignore it, then, I don't have to deal with it. But that doesn't mean that it's gone away. It is absolutely affecting you, and it could be killing your kidneys. Again, this is one of the silent killers. That level of pressure in your vessels, in your blood vessels that are running through your kidneys, all of that pressure, your kidneys, again, the size of a mouse. So with a lot of pressure over time, and it's unrelenting, and people having high blood pressure uncontrolled for years, this is chronic damage to the kidneys. And this is one reason why your kidneys start to fail with hypertension. Same goes with blood sugar. If your blood sugar is high, then you absolutely need to take steps to get it under control, whether that is diet, lifestyle, medications, whatever. Get it under control, because all that sugar in your blood gets sticky and damages all of your organs, including your kidneys. All right. Smoking is just a bad idea, because anytime you burn anything, you change the chemical composition of it. And when you do that, you release, I hate using this word because it's such a overused term these days, but toxins. You have excess toxic substances that are being produced by the burning of the tobacco and other additives that are in there. Once that gets into your system, it has a direct line to your bloodstream, because as soon as you inhale it, all of those blood vessels that are surrounding your lungs will start to take that in, put it in your body. And this is part of the reason why smoking contributes to such poor health, because all of those toxic chemicals that are damaging will go in and damage your kidneys. We talked about managing stress, so I won't go into that again, but exercise. If you are not already doing so, start some type of movement. It doesn't mean that you have to go to the gym and start lifting all the heavy weights. It could be something as simple as starting dancing again, or going to play tennis, or, spending an extra 5-10 minutes with the kids and like being more physical with them. It doesn't have to be exercise. All right. Make it fun for you, because then that's going to make you sustain it a lot longer. Make sure that you, if you are taking medications, that those are not damaging your kidneys, because that's important to know. If they are, then talk to your healthcare provider and see if there's another medication that can actually help without damaging your kidneys. And then if you absolutely already do have kidney disease, then, and your doctor will know this, but I need you to know this, that if you already have kidney issues, then you want to avoid contrast if you're getting some type of imaging. Contrast basically is a substance that they inject into the body, or that you take orally, that will go into your bloodstream, and it will cause your blood vessels and other structures in your body to show up better in your images, so that they can actually see what's going on in the body. But it's pretty hard on the kidneys when your body tries to get rid of those. If you have healthy kidneys, it's not a problem, but if you have unhealthy kidneys, then that's when it becomes a problem, because now you're taking this harsh substance and you are putting it through already organs that are already not functioning well. So that is a part of the part of something that you want to keep in mind for future if you already have kidney disease. All right, so now let's talk about nutrition. And I see that there are a few questions. I'll definitely start to answer some of those in a minute. If you have not posted any questions and you have any that have come up, please type them into the chat and we will talk about it in just a moment, because I'm almost done with the information. So the very first thing, as far as nutrition is concerned, specifically for kidney health, eat potassium-rich foods. Now, I posted here a short list. This is a very short list, but potassium deficiency is probably a huge cause of much of our hypertension and much of our heart disease and much of our other problems. It's not just potassium. It's a lot of different. Minerals, but potassium is sort of one of those that are really, really up there. On this list, the first thing I put is avocados, because I wanted to make sure that you all knew that avocados have many times more potassium than bananas. And it doesn't have the sugar of bananas. Now, of course, that's what people love. So we're going to make sure that, keep eating bananas if you love them, but go ahead and add some of these other foods so that you can get the variety. Avocados, apricots, papaya, prunes, prune juice, sweet potatoes, pomegranates, spinach, apples, mustard greens, broccoli, watermelon. All of those are potassium rich. Basically, your produce, right? Your produce. So eating a diet that is higher in potassium is going to begin to help offset some of the problems that we have in many different ways, and potassium is one of them. You want to eat foods that are rich in other minerals as well, not just potassium. So your nuts, your seeds, your beans, your sea vegetables like your nori sheets, or seaweed salad or any of those things. For those of you who know and use sea moss, that is also a good one. Cruciferous vegetables. Cruciferous vegetables are basically your broccoli, kale, cauliflower. Those are cruciferous vegetables, that family. There are more in that family, but that is what we're talking about. High in minerals. Avocados again, right? Avocados are just great food. Actually, when I am working with diabetic patients, one of the things that I prescribe for them is an avocado every day. So, just to give you to help you understand how important and how nutritious and beneficial avocados are, that is one of the foods that I absolutely give to people with diabetes. Eat fiber-rich foods. So going back to basically the same list that we've been talking about just now, fiber is going to help with your cholesterol level. So if you have higher cholesterol, having that fiber that's going to help pull that cholesterol out of circulation and actually get it out of the body is going to be very helpful. It's also going to help push the waste out of your body so that your kidneys don't have to recycle that, and your body doesn't have to have the ramifications of that. Just eating fiber-rich food is going to help you in a myriad of ways. So fiber-rich foods are going to be what you want to do. All right. The next on the list is water. So water is tricky. If you already have kidney disease, you want to limit the amount of water that you're drinking or the fluids that you're drinking, because you don't want to put the extra stress on your kidneys. But if you do not, then drink water, drink plenty of water. Now, I'm not going to be the one to tell you that you have to drink reverse osmosis water. You have to drink alkaline water. I would just say that you want to drink anything but tap water. Tap water can be really hard on your body because the chlorine in tap water can be really hard on your body. The other things that are in the water can be really hard on your body, on your kidneys. So my goal would be to make sure that you have filtered water. The better the water, the better it is on your health. And you want to avoid as much as you can. I'm not saying you can't drink them, but beverages outside of water that have lots of sugar, lots of colors, lots of preservatives, those are things that your body actually has to filter. And you want to make sure that you can, that you are decreasing the workload of your kidneys and the rest of your body, and just giving your body the water so that everything can be filtered out. You want to make sure that you're urinating regularly. I actually recently read this statement that we should be urinating every 1 to 2 hours that we are awake. So every couple hours, you should be going to the bathroom to get rid of some waste and then come back and do what you're doing. Sip water throughout the day so that this can happen. We typically remember water a couple times a day. So we gulp down large amounts of water at one time, and then maybe we'll gulp down large amounts at another time. But we want to start making it more of a habit to actually sip water throughout the day so that it is a constant flushing of your body. Flushing your body of whatever metabolic waste or other waste that your body is being exposed to. So urinate regularly. The next thing that we want to do is eat your water. So this will be important if you already have kidney disease, because you don't want to increase the amount of water that you drink, because that can put a lot of stress on your body. But if you're eating your water, then it's not as stressful because the water is incorporated in the food already. And this are things like your produce. So your vegetables, your fruit automatically have water in them. And then of course you can also include like your teas. But when we talk about eating your water, we're talking about eating more produce. So, those fiber-rich foods coming in again, eating your water. Focus on fruit and vegetables. We talked about that many times. But the thing is, you want to do a mindset shift. Start to make your vegetables the center of your meals and put everything else around those. Normally what we do is we'll decide, I want to eat a steak. So now what will I have with it? Instead of doing that, you think, I want to eat a big bowl of greens. Now, what can I have with that? And that simple mindset shift could be a huge benefit in changing the course of your health. And then drinking herbal teas. So things like green tea, hibiscus, chamomile, dandelion, ginger are all really good for kidney health. We just want to make sure that we are not adding a bunch of sugar to it. And I think that was my last slide. So let's get into the questions.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Dr. Hamilton. That was great. And our audience has been quite busy, posing quite a few questions in the chat. So I'm going to start with the first one. I'm talking about sleep. You mentioned the key point about sleep. And several in the chat talked about either getting 5 or 6 hours, or their bodies have adjusted to around 5 hours a night. So do you have any advice on things that one could do to get a better to have a longer sleep and a better quality sleep?
Absolutely. So there's if you all do a Google search for sleep hygiene, that can give you some quick tips on what to do to help you sleep better. This is actually where I start when I'm working with people on their sleep, is sleep hygiene. And this is basically things like making sure the room is completely dark so that you don't have any light that disturbs you. Remember that your body actually produces melatonin. You know, we know of it as a supplement, but this is something that our bodies produce. Our bodies produce it as the sun goes down. So if the sun is going down, but we have all the lights in the house on, then our bodies are not going to produce as much melatonin, and that's going to throw off our sleep-wake cycle. Using the bedroom for only sleep and sex. You know, we get have a habit of bringing our computers, our phones, our televisions and stuff in the bedroom. And so we're doing something other than sleeping in the place where we're supposed to be sleeping. Starting to turn the lights down as the evening goes on. Like little habits like those can help that foundation of sleep. And if you still have issues getting adequate sleep after that, then we can start looking into more specific solutions. Like it might be your cortisol is off because you're highly stressed. It might be that your mind is rambling. It might be that you're urinating a whole lot at night. Like there's a lot of different reasons. So start with those foundational things. And then once you get those kind of in place, you can start to look at other things that can cause you to not get as much sleep.
Thank you for that, Dr. Hamilton. There's also a question in the chat about the use of over-the-counter melatonin to help on these natural supplements. And I know that, just as a disclaimer, we're not giving anyone medical advice or any type. This is for educational purposes only, and we encourage everyone to follow up with his or her own your physician, your provider, before you change any course of your health care. But that being said, what do you have to say about over-the-counter melatonin?
Melatonin can be great. I would say that just like with medications, you don't want melatonin to just be the end all be all. My goal, if I'm giving something like melatonin, is to give it to you in the moment to help you get sleep, but then let's continue to work on the causes of that lack of sleep. So use the melatonin so that you can get some sleep, but continue to work on finding the cause of why you may not be getting adequate sleep, so that eventually, hopefully, you won't need the melatonin as much.
Thank you, Dr. Hamilton. There's also a question in the chat about asking, is it healthy to take potassium supplements? What are your thoughts there?
It is, especially since most of us are not getting adequate potassium from the foods because we're either not eating enough produce or potassium-rich foods to get it, or our life and our health is such that the potassium that we are taking in is being excreted by our kidneys. So taking potassium supplements is not a bad thing. We just want to make sure that we are not overdoing it, because potassium is one of those minerals that actually helps our muscles work and have our muscles fire. And one of those main muscles is our heart. So if we're taking more potassium than our bodies need, then we can have, problems with muscle health and heart health. But if we're not getting enough potassium, we can have those problems as well. So yes, taking potassium supplements is great. You just want to be mindful of not, overdoing it. We have that mindset sometimes that if one is good, 10 must be great. Yeah, no, that ain't the case in a lot of situations.
Right. Thank you for that, because I know some folks who are on, if you have on a renal diet, I know there are concerns, because there's a question in the chat: when looking at your kidney function, when should you be concerned about kidney damage? And so is there any guidance that you would offer with respect to the electrolytes that potassium, and sometimes because you're dealing with sodium and the movement of these different electrolytes? So what guidance or information would you give there?
Well, the first thing is to make sure that you are taking in or eating a variety of produce, so that you are getting those minerals that you need on a regular basis. When you have conditions like kidney disease, where a lot of it is being excreted, then you probably want to do like a good quality multivitamin and a multi-mineral, so that you can continuously get those nutrients that your body needs. Now, when I say quality, that quality usually does not come from the big box store and you get like 5,000 of them for $3. Like, that's not quality. They're not going to give you that many of the supplements for, that are quality for that little bit of money. So you want to be mindful of that. But yeah, taking a quality multivitamin, multi-mineral is going to be useful, along with eating a diet that is very much rich in fresh produce. And even your meat sources, if you can get like wild caught meat, wild caught fish, and eat that as opposed to the farm raised, then those animals are actually going to have more nutrients in their tissues that you're eating than other animals. So that's how I would answer that question.
Thank you for that. There is, I'm seeing a couple of things in the chat, and just, I think mentioning to folks, of course, some lab, if you're under the care of a provider, you want to make sure you're following it with lab work and making sure all these electrolytes are in balance, because we also have, Dr. Hamilton, there's a question in the chat that says, what about, and can stage 5 kidney disease be reversed in a 92-year-old? And can you address nutrition for elderly patients with stage 3 or greater chronic kidney disease?
So yeah, it's really, how do I say this? So the biggest challenge that I have with people, regardless of age, is the understanding that naturopathic medicine, holistic medicine, is not quite the same as conventional medicine. Usually when we come across people, they want to know, what can we use for this condition in place of this medication? It doesn't really work like that. Natural medicine is more of an active type medicine. So that basically means that you have to start changing some things and doing some things. The person who comes in contact with a naturopathic doctor or a holistic healthcare practitioner has to be willing and able to make those changes. Sometimes the older a person gets, the more set in their ways they get. So it's harder for them to make those changes, but it's not impossible. I just mention that because that is the case. I would say start with the conversation, ask them what they're willing to modify. And then start with the diet, start with the things that I've already mentioned, start with more of a plant heavy diet, and then add everything else around that. If the person cannot digest plant foods very well, you might need a digestive enzyme to actually help you break those foods down so that it's easier on your digestive system, especially if you haven't been eating that way already. But that would be the thing that I say I start with, because that's sort of how I start working with everybody. Find out what they're eating, how it's affecting their body, and then modify that, because your food really is your medicine. Once you break that food down into its smallest part, its amino acids, its sugars, its nucleic acids, once you break all that food down into those smaller parts actually go into the body and actually do the work. Those are chemical changes. So that would be like the number one change. And people have absolutely reversed diseases from dietary changes. Now, subtle and slow dietary changes, of course, are going to take a little bit longer, but they're still going to have an impact. So start there, modifying the diet, incorporating more fresh produce, more, food with water, and then start building from there according to what the person can do. I can't really give specific information, one, because I'm not acting as a doctor in this case, but because everybody is individual, it's kind of hard to say, what to do for this person in this situation without knowing a little bit more.
That's great. Thank you, Dr. Hamilton. We have another question in the chat that says, how would a vegetarian get more protein besides protein powder and beans? Are there any supplements out there that are good for vegetarians?
So vegetarians means not vegan, which means that you might be open to eating fish, and fish is a great source. Otherwise, it would, like, your leafy green vegetables actually have plenty of protein in it. So if you're not eating, your red meat, your birds, then, consider fish if you are vegetarian and not vegan. If you are vegan, then you want to make sure that you're increasing your leafy green vegetables. Things like lentils and seeds are also high in protein. If you're, outside of nuts, outside of beans, those are sort of like bean-ish, but they're not quite beans. But that's what I got. Mushrooms can be great as well. That's what comes to mind off top.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Hamilton. I got another question that says, are black seed oil and sea moss good choices for people who have chronic kidney disease?
As far as I know, yes. Sea moss definitely can be great for any population, because it is a sea vegetable that seems to be very good, very well absorbed in the body and digested by the body. Black seed oil, I have never heard of it being problematic for kidneys. I haven't done a whole lot of research on black seed oil, but even within my community, like, I've not heard anything being said about the negative effects of black seed oil on parts of the body. So with that being said, I don't really have any fears about it helping a person. So, go with that.
Thank you, Dr. Hamilton. That's really helpful. And especially in our Western diets, some of these things we don't see quite as much. You don't see at your local Kroger so much. You would have to go to like a health food store to get some of the items that have been mentioned. So that helps provide some context. That's really very helpful. Thank you very much.
But honestly, so even if you don't necessarily go to like your Whole Foods, if you go to just a different market, it can be helpful. There are Asian markets, there are Middle Eastern markets, there are Hispanic markets that absolutely have way more variety of produce than our standard market. So if you go to, say, Ideal Market, that is catering to a Hispanic crowd, beautiful produce. If you go, to any of the Asian markets, beautiful produce, lots of variety that we don't necessarily see in our stores. And you can start to experiment with produce there. And it doesn't cost as much as going to a specialty health food store. So just keep that in mind. Just, try to explore other options other than what you're accustomed to.
That's great advice. Thank you for that. And also we put in the chat was there are African markets as well. And so they're African markets. I wanted to mention this, something that was that I guess kind of surprised me, but makes perfect sense is you didn't seem to be real keen on tap water. You recommended filtered water. And I get it because it's loaded, you're trying to chelate or capture all those mineral deposits that your body can't necessarily process or account for. So that makes good sense to me. And so walking away with drinking your water or eating your water, I don't think I've ever heard eating water in that context. That was very valuable. So I just want to thank everyone for their thoughtful input and their thoughtful questions. Dr. Hamilton for answering those questions. That's all the time we will have for that. But for those who are on the call, we will capture all the questions in the chat and make sure that we send those responses back out to you when as a thank you for attending this particular webinar. And so at this time, I just want to say thank you, Dr. Hamilton, for enlightening us and reminding us about the kidneys and really taking a deep dive there and giving us some alternatives to our approach in taking the best care of our kidneys. Thank you for that. Thank you. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Easton. Dr. Easton.
You're muted, Dr. Easton.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me know I was muted at that time. Thanks you. I appreciate the information that was shared. I was just saying that I have 6 or 7 bullet points of things that I'm going to try to focus on. Sleep is one of them. Changing the way I think about food in terms of, so true that many times we may think of food first, meat first, and then what do we eat around it versus the other way? What are our vegetables and what can I have with these vegetables? So lots of great tips. Thank you so much for the information. And I want to thank our community partners, in particular, the National Council of Negro Women, the New Orleans section. I see a couple of members on the call, and I thank you for being a part and thank the partnership that we have with NCNW with the New Orleans section. And again, LSU Health is the health provider organization here in New Orleans. If you want more information about how to enroll or just more information about the program, all of us, LSU Health New Orleans would be a great place to start. Lastly, we want to thank 7 Star Academy for helping us to put together a great informative presentation webinar this evening. Would like to draw your attention to the next 2 DREF webinars that we have. One is on the 24th, Thursday, March 24th, and it's going to be a discussion about substance use disorders. And on April 11th, we're going to talk about public health, specifically the social and political determinants of health. 2 great sessions coming up for you. One more in this month, and then we have 2 in April. The first one is already scheduled. So keep your ears open and eyes open for upcoming information on those events. I hope that you all have a wonderful and a blessed evening. And again, happy International Women's Day to everyone. Have a good night, everybody. Good night.
Good night, everybody.